Drama. Okay, let me tell you about this ADU. Okay, this is the very beginning of the ADU Chronicles. So grab some popcorn, sit back and relax because it's full of drama and excitement. I've already told you about, just the background and how this project has been underway since 2020. And now when I say this project has been underway from 2020, I mean the intention to build an ADU has been underway since 2020. Of course, we haven't actually secured the deposit until like last week, maybe the week before, and it's 2025. Now, there was tons of things that cause barriers, and the interesting thing is that some of these initially were never meant to cause barriers. So one, for instance, the house was acquired in a city program, and a lot of different cities have these programs for real estate that encourage homeowners to get into a home. And so the way that they incentivize that is they provide grants, they provide, down payment assistance with no interest, they cover closing costs, all kinds of things. It's actually amazing. And a lot of programs have requirements to stay in the home for a certain amount of time. Now, this home was acquired in 1995, and so the requirement was for the person primarily living there to stay there for 30 years for the loan or lien on the property to be forgiven. Now, 30 years, a very long time. The house has been paid off well before that, but the lien is forgiven like month by month. So we checked in 2020 and the lien, there was still a good portion of the lien on there, maybe like $25,000. And I was like, that's crazy. The original lien was $50,000. So I'm like, how from 1995 to 2020, you still got $25,000? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. Anyways, the option was if you want to refinance, or even just if you want to transfer the property, you have to pay off that lien. Or you can do nothing and just wait for it to be forgiven at the actual maturity date, which was in 2025. And so I was like, okay. So my thing was like, all right, well, since I can't do anything with the property yet, let me just start to try to understand what the requirements are for even building an ADU, what kind of funding I'm looking at, licensing requirements, permits, fees, things like that. So that's kind of how I was thinking of it, because I'm like, well, I don't want to just be sitting around doing nothing, I'm waiting. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna just do some research. So that's what I did. Like, I really dove into it to see what are my options, took my time, like, what can I actually build? And it was super helpful, and I didn't feel rushed or anything like that. But the whole time I'm like monitoring the value of the property, because I'm thinking about what amount I could take out in terms of a loan, and if that's going to be enough to actually cover the build of the ADU. So anyway, lots of education, lots of research. I actually was looking at this one builder, and I went to her workshop on ADUs. So that was really cool, and I learned a lot at that. I took extensive notes on this, so that gave me a lot of information that I later used when meeting with other builders. So that's another thing. So make sure that if you're building an ADU, you consult with multiple construction companies. Get multiple quotes, because I don't know what it is. Like, people will just say whatever to you. Like, they'll pull numbers out of a hat and just, this is the cost. Like, bro, what? And if you've only talked to one person, all you know is what they told you. So that's the danger with that. So definitely have multiple builders come out, give you a quote, help them explain, or have them explain to you what the requirements are, what you can actually build. Because I had one builder tell me I could build 2 units in this space, and then I had another builder say, no, you cannot. And so, I would say do at least 3, and it's time consuming, because you have to find the builder, you're booking an appointment, you're talking to them, they're invested because they want to make the sale. And so you have to go through that, but just plan that in terms of in your timeline. Just prepare for that. Another thing is the loan process. Now, this is where my primary headache came. I mean, like, oh, like, I don't even know where to start. I'm gonna just try to summarize it because honestly, this was the most dramatic lending situation I've ever been in my life. Like, okay, so for most of my transactions, I usually consult with more than one lender. Now, I highly recommend that because, you know, lenders will get real comfortable with you and make you feel like they're loyal and they always gonna give you the best rate. And it's just not true, okay? They are salespeople and they work off of percentages and commissions, right? So you have to be open to just the idea that maybe, just maybe, someone else may have better terms or better word. And they'll tell you that there's no one else out there. No other lender can give you this. Like, just do your own research. How about trust but verify? I heard that recently and I liked it. So definitely trust but verify. So I got quotes from 2 lenders in this transaction. Now, one is a lender I've worked with before, and another was a lender I have not worked with before, but I met at a networking event and I was like, okay, let me just give this person a chance. You know, they're new to the industry, whatever. Now, the new lender was sounding real good at first. I'm talking about the interest rate was 2 percentage points lower than what my normal lender quoted me. The process seemed less cumbersome. Like, it was just looking real good, right? And then as we go through the process, when the appraisals come back, and so yes, I did have to pay for 2 appraisals, over $1,200. So keep that in mind. If you're going to go with 2 or more lenders, like if you're gonna, you know, compare them, you will have to pay out of pocket. And I mean, at the end of the day, one of those is going to be lost, right? Because I only went with 1 lender at the end of the day, so I didn't recoup those appraisal funds. So got 2 appraisals, and the new lender's appraisal was good. It was almost $100,000 more than my other lender's appraisal, and I was just like, wow. Even the appraised rent was more, and I was like, this is looking good. So mind you, at this stage, I'm like, wow, the interest rate's looking better, the appraisal looks better, and that matters because that determines, one, how much I can actually take out on the house, but it also determines, you know, it could determine how much I put down or all those things, because they're looking at, is the rent, the market rent, going to be enough to cover the mortgage payment? So anyway, things are looking good, and I'm leaning towards the new lender. Actually, I'm still going through the motions with both lenders. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm really just making it seem like it could go either way, and it could go either way. That's the thing. You gotta take them both seriously and go as far as you can go until things break down. And in my experience, things always break down with somebody. Okay, so I'm getting close. You know, I'm getting to closing disclosure time. Now, my regular lender is already giving me an estimated closing disclosure, but I'm having some title hiccups, right? And so we're trying to work through that. And then the new lender, you know, the crazy thing is that this new lender had been texting me, you know, giving me updates, emailing me updates, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking like we on the same page. I get off work one day and get a closing disclosure via email that is 2 percentage points of an interest rate higher than what we discussed. And I'm like, you know, I'm shocked and disturbed because up to this point, it was looking good, right? You had a lower interest rate, you had a higher appraisal. What changed? You know what I mean? I'm just like, we didn't talk about this. Like, this is out of nowhere. And I'm like, are they trying to pull a fast one on me? Like, what is happening here? So I contact the lender. I text them like, hey, what happened? And, you know, why is the interest rate so much higher? And they're like, oh, actually, you know what? I should pull up the exact message so I could tell you. Actually, I shouldn't. I don't have time for that. But they're basically just like, oh, I thought so-and-so told you, you know? And I'm like, who is so-and-so? I guess like someone on the team was supposed to have contacted me to go over why there was this massive change, and that person did not contact me. And so I'm just like, look, I don't like this, okay? So if I had signed this closing disclosure, and I mean, it doesn't bind me necessarily, but if I had signed this, y'all was just gonna move the loan forward and just not say nothing. Like, I don't like that, right? So I'm like, no one's contacting me. Like, what are we talking about? And that person's just like, oh wow, I'm so sorry, you know, we had to change it because of this and that. This is the only way it can work. No other lender is going to be able to give you a lower interest rate, blah 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 blah. And that is the mistake. I do not like when a lender or a real estate agent or whoever tells me that no other person is going to be able to do something. You don't know what other people can do. Okay, I don't like that. And that was the second red flag for me. The first red flag was getting that closing disclosure with no discussion in such a huge change. The second red flag was you telling me what other people can and cannot do. No. So at this point, trust is broken. I'm offended. I'm disturbed. I was just like, I'm off this. So I communicate that, and I was just like, I will let you know after I weigh my options what other lenders can do. Like, so anyway, I did not like that. Anyway, we're going through the process, whatever. I'm having issues with this other lender's title company because of my name. Like, you know, I have 2 spellings of my first name. I've been married before, divorced, I just got married. Like, it was a whole thing. And they wanted us to do the loan a certain way, like do the title a certain way. And I was just like, that doesn't make any sense. And so the title company's on the phone trying to tell me about California law. I said, ma'am, I am a licensed California attorney, please. And she's just like, oh, I have to talk to my supervisor. I'm like, oh, talk to your supervisor. Like, and so I told this lender, like, look, I was looking at another company and another lender, and their title company didn't say anything about this. So what is the problem? And he's like, you were looking at another lender? I said, yeah. Like, and I have the clear to close. Like, what are we talking about here? And so he was just like, okay, well, we can switch title companies. It's no problem, you know? And I like that, you know? Like, do what you got to do to close the transaction, because I've closed with this lender before. They know I ain't committing no fraud. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, my name's just changing. But that title company had just had a transaction, I guess, like the week before or the month before, where it was very similar with the names, and it turned out to be fraud. So, you know, they were scared and putting that fear on me, right? And it was affecting my transaction. So anyway, at the end of the day, I ended up deciding to close with my original lender. Now, a day after closing, I hear from the other lender like, hey, we can give you a lower interest rate. I said, no, I'm good, I already closed. We can just let it go. Maybe we can work together in the future. I don't know, maybe not. And they're just like, we can give you even lower. Now, this is what really bothers me, is your original email said that I wasn't gonna be able to find nothing lower. So how is this possible? How are you lowering the rate that you told me no other lender could give me lower? Like, how is that possible? So look, just so many red flags. And I know this person is like new to the industry or whatever, but I mean, I operate on trust, and like, it just gotta make sense, and it gotta feel right. And it wasn't feeling right, you know. I was feeling like they were trying to pull a fast one on me, applying pressure. It was just too much. And so we got through that. Finally made the deposit on the ADU. So the deposit was $1,000, and I learned that there's a limit on how much you can actually require a client to deposit for a construction project in California. Like, some of these construction companies got you paying 20% of the project cost up front, like before they even touch the dirt, and apparently you're not supposed to do that. So that was really cool. I was like, nice, you know, that makes me feel secure, but also it makes me feel secure in your business, because you have the money to start a project and you're not relying on me, you know, so you're solvent. And I like that. That's a good sign. So paid the deposit. Then I had to pay the other deposit yesterday to get the plans drawn. So the plans are separate from the construction. So it's a different company doing it. So I'm having the plans drawn, and then once the plans are drawn, you have to go through the design stuff, submit them with the city, and I have to give the plans to solar companies to get quotes as well. So that'll be next up on my list. But yeah, that's the update as of today, and stay tuned for next steps.